It's a little scary when you hear about such things.
A memorial is growing for Gabby Petito in the Wyoming forest where a body was found. New at 9, the latest on her disappearance and the search for answers.
A Tooele woman is searching for answers after her aunt goes missing. Coming up, how she plans to raise awareness.
It's not going to stop fire. We're never going to say it's going to stop it, but it's going to reduce it.
When you talk about wildfires, normally people bring up forest management. There's a project going on in Summit Park that does just that. We're going to show it to you.
Republican senators should die. Like, whoa, you work at a high school.
A Utah teacher publicly wished for death to Republican senators. Coming up, why the district says he will not face any discipline.
And the story of a family who came to Utah from halfway around the world for a life-changing procedure, all to treat one girl's rare disorder.
Live from Utah's news leader, Fox 13 News at 9, starts right now.
New tonight, crime scene tape has come down and a memorial is growing in Bridgerton-Teton National Forest in Wyoming. That's where a body was found over the weekend, thought to be that of Gabby Petito.
The memorial is just the latest detail to unfold as the mystery behind Gabby's disappearance continues to grow tonight. Fox 13's Sydney Glenn has the latest from Teton County, Wyoming.
On what should be a fun trip to see all nature has to offer in Wyoming.
Didn't expect that one coming here.
A dark cloud looms as news spread of Gabby Petito likely being found dead.
It's a little scary when you hear about such things.
Kyle Johnson and his fiancee Courtney Muchler say it's scary.
I would say it definitely is. Just because you don't know what exactly happened, you don't know who could be out there exactly.
Husband and wife Nilesh and Sharu Singh have been closely following this case ever since they booked the trip.
And then suddenly from Google we started getting this news that this woman is missing. So suddenly on daily basis it started to appear on my news feed.
Now seeing law enforcement here, they're feeling uneasy.
We've just been trying to keep our eyes and ears open and just to know what's happening and what's the government doing about this and how safe are we really.
This news has kept us like always checking the news, following it, and not go off trails.
The big question on everyone's mind, what really happened in these mountains?
And I really am curious to hear about the boyfriend side of the story. It seems like it's going to fill in all the details, all the information to especially the girl's family. I'm sure they need it.
There are clear indicators that law enforcement has been searching this area. We also found what appears to be a memorial right across the creek over here. This area was closed for several days as law enforcement searched for, and they believe eventually found Gabby Petito. An autopsy is scheduled for tomorrow. In the Bridgerton-Teton National Forest, Sydney Glenn, Fox 13 News, Utah.
In Florida, what investigators said about the Gabby Petito case over the weekend triggered an outpouring of support from friends and strangers.
Mourners are now building a growing memorial for Petito at City Hall in Northport, Florida, leaving flowers, balloons, and pictures, all in Gabby's memory. Some people have come from as far away as New York to pay their respects.
I'm so sorry about your loss. My heart goes out to everybody. She's a beautiful angel now.
There's a lot of people praying for him right now. I know we are. We're thinking about him. I know there's nothing we can say to take their pain away, but they are in our thoughts.
Back home, a vigil has been organized for Utahns to remember the life of Gabby Petito. It will be held at Sugar House Park this Wednesday from 7 to 8 p.m. The event is open to everyone. Tonight, we are hearing the 911 call made in Moab about an apparent domestic violence situation between Gabby Petito and Brian Laundrie. Listen to this.
What were they doing? We drove by and the gentleman was slapping the girl. He was slapping her? Yes, and then we stopped. They ran up and down the sidewalk. He proceeded to hit her, hopped in the car, and they drove off.
This is different from the Moab police report's account of the incident, which indicated Petito was perhaps the aggressor.
A search warrant for the Laundrie home in Florida revealed a text message Gabby Petito's mother received. She previously said she wasn't sure the text was from Gabby. It read, Can you help Stan? I just keep getting his voicemails and missed calls. Stan is Gabby's grandfather, but her mother says Gabby never called him Stan. The search warrant also said agents were looking for electronics, including hard drives. FBI agents removed Brian's parents from the home and put them in a van on the lawn for about an hour. Agents brought in folding chairs, a table, and other items and called the area a crime scene. Brian Laundrie was last seen almost a week ago. He is still a person of interest in the disappearance of Gabby Petito.
From the moment this case hit the news, the outcry has been consistent. From Florida to Utah to Wyoming, people have been calling on Brian Laundrie to help find Gabby.
Continuing our team coverage tonight, Fox 13's Max Roth goes in depth after speaking with a man who says Laundrie was actually right to stay quiet.
I talked with criminal defense attorney Jesse Nix on Live at Noon for our in-depth segment. Nix acknowledges many ways that Laundrie has not helped himself and looks bad. But his silence, Nix says, is not one of them.
The one thing that Brian is doing right is that he has not spoken to police. And I know that just sounds crazy. But when a client meets with me, right?
It sounds more guilty than crazy.
Of course it does, but that's because we're on the news talking about this issue.
On the news and almost everywhere else, the moral imperative is clear. If a person is missing, find them. If a crime was committed, solve it.
And that is definitely understandable in the court of public opinion. But in the court of law, there are rules.
Nix makes no bones about it. The Bill of Rights protects the accused and constrains police and prosecutors. The Fifth Amendment saying no person shall be compelled in any criminal case to be a witness against himself.
If that person came into my office, I would ask very specific questions. The most important is there anything incriminating in this case? Because if Brian had anything to do with Gabby's disappearance or ultimately death, then that means that he should not sit for a law enforcement interview.
Nix thinks Laundrie's biggest potential problem is the calendar. August 25th, Gabby Petito stops calling home. September 1st, Laundrie shows up in Florida alone. September 11th, Petito's mother reports her missing. To Nix, it all looks bad, but trying to explain it would make it worse.
If I'm the prosecutor, I want to get all that stuff in. But as a defense attorney, I want to keep all of that out.
So the lawyer is sworn to defend his client, but Laundrie isn't sworn to do anything. He can choose to stay silent, or he can choose to answer questions. In the newsroom, Max Roth, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Stay with Fox 13 News, both on air and online, as we continue to track the very latest in the Gabby Petito investigation. If you have any information that can help investigators, call 1-800-CALL-FBI. That's 1-800-225-5324.
Coming up on Fox 13 News at 9.
He just didn't care.
Nationwide backlash after a Utah teacher posted a death wish on Twitter for Republican senators.
It really doesn't impact me. I can handle a lot of heat.
We'll show you why the school district did not punish him and what he has to say about it.
A critical vote on the Inland Port project is delayed.
That's great news. I think the public has been heard today, but of course, this battle is not over.
If you have any tender plants, I would cover them up because the areas in purple, we have hard freeze warnings, and these extend into 9 o'clock tomorrow morning.
A project wrapping up here in Summit Park showing the great work being done to keep our habitats healthy and viable. We'll show it to you coming up.
Heading into week 4 of the college football season. Coming up, we'll hear from the Utes, Cougars, and Aggies.
The sole purpose of this is to literally export pollution from California to Utah.
Environmentalists scored a small win today over a key part of the Inland Port project.
A controversial vote on how to spend millions of taxpayer dollars has been delayed. Fox 13's Ben Winslow reports from downtown Salt Lake City.
I have some breaking news. The Port Authority has canceled its meeting.
Opponents of the Inland Port project were bracing to get steamrolled on a critical vote to create the infrastructure and spend up to $150 million to build a transloading facility.
Is the thing that makes it an inland port. So this is a very pivotal moment
in terms of the development of this polluting project.
They argue the facility would bring in goods from California by train. Then they'd be offloaded onto diesel trucks to head out for delivery.
How these projects will interfere with our efforts to address the climate crisis in Utah.
The massive economic development project has been criticized since its inception in 2018 as one that would be harmful to Utah's already fragile air quality.
I fully expect that next they will tell us that air pollution is good for us.
But the Utah Inland Port Authority postponed the vote, saying it delayed it to bring the discussion about to merit arguments and not further fuel political fires.
That's great news. I think the public has been heard today, but of course, this battle is not over.
Salt Lake City leaders are also scrutinizing it, sending a letter to the Inland Port Authority raising questions about what the $150 million would pay for and why an unelected board controls what could be taxpayer money and infrastructure, and a lack of public notice over the whole thing, calling it troubling with potential consequences to Salt Lake City taxpayers.
This is a total power play. It's being orchestrated by legislative leaders, and it's intended to run over the interests of Salt Lake City taxpayers.
Of course, the issue doesn't go away. The vote's just been delayed. The Inland Port Authority will still return. Meanwhile, the Utah Supreme Court is still considering Salt Lake City's lawsuit over the entire project, and environmentalists are threatening a new round of litigation.
We're looking at that, yes.
In Salt Lake City, Ben Winslow, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Pfizer says its COVID-19 vaccine is both safe and effective for children ages 5 to 11. They are submitting their results to the FDA. The research conducted by Pfizer has not been peer-reviewed or published, but it is an encouraging step. These results are the first of their kind released for a COVID-19 vaccine in this age group. With more than 1/3 of Utah's population under the age of 18, this could be an important development to keeping children safe from the virus.
We've been watching the research for several months now as pediatricians and nationally in the American Academy of Pediatrics. And the data has been very clear that the immunization for children 5 to 11 and on up has been very effective and safe. So we're very excited to finally be getting closer to approval.
It is unclear whether the vaccine will be available for young children, but Pfizer is hoping for emergency authorization soon and eventually full FDA approval.
When the Parley's Canyon fire moved quickly toward the community of Summit Park last month, thousands of people packed their bags to evacuate, not knowing what would happen to their homes. For years, in fact, fire officials in Summit County have been very concerned about that particular community. Luckily, no homes were impacted by the most recent wildfire.
Fox 13's Brian Schnee shows us what's being done to promote forest health in the area to ultimately help if there is another fire.
Focusing on ladder fuels, taking down dead and down fuels, creating piles with the brush that is taken out, and just creating some space.
A project that improves forest health, protecting watershed, and mitigating hazardous fuels is winding down in Summit Park.
This whole community is really nestled and tucked into the woods here. So it was very important for the protection of this community and the protection of homes and homeowners up here.
Land management group Basin Recreation has been working on this for a few years now. This project, which spans about 300 acres, focuses on thinning and creating more space in densely forested areas. Here's a great example of what this project has been able to do. This entire area over here has been treated. Now this side is all private property. You can see the undergrowth still very prevalent. Since the area is so close to homes, nestled between the thick vegetation in Summit Park, there's hope this project could help significantly if a wildfire is sparked. Just last month, the Parley's Canyon fire encroached on the area.
Allowing us to do some of this management is it's not going to stop fire. We're never going to say it's going to stop it, but it's going to reduce it. And it gives the firefighters a chance to get a handle of it.
The fire didn't reach the treatment site, but it did highlight the importance of keeping up with forest health and keeping dangerous fuels in check.
I think some people were a little shaken, and they realized that this could happen to us. It could happen here. It could happen anywhere where there's this kind of vegetation growing around.
The work being done in Summit Park is an example of getting ahead to prevent a potential catastrophe.
$1 spent on mitigation is supposed to take $6 away from that suppression cost. This is just a very small piece of a really large puzzle in Summit County and throughout Utah.
In Summit Park, Brian Schnee, Fox 13 News, Utah.
The Parley's Canyon fire burned 541 acres in August, forcing evacuations in Summit Park and surrounding communities. You may remember the fire was started by a faulty catalytic converter. Investigators have not found the person or vehicle responsible.
Well, you felt it today, a little fall chill in the air. And
I'd say a lot of chill in the air this morning.
You were just chilling out this morning, Bob.
Well, I turned on the furnace.
I know, you and I both.
And you were a guest.
I know.
Both of you.
It was
43 degrees outside.
It was. I know.
Inside.
It was 61.
Your house?
Yeah.
You would have loved that back in July if your house was 61.
Yeah, I know. I'm with you, Bob.
It's all
Thank
relative.
you, Jody.
The heat is probably cranked right now, and my
solidarity, Jody.
And you know, my kids are the outdoor snow kids, but they were cold this morning too. You know, I think because we're not used to it. That's probably what it is. We're just going to chalk it up to it's been 90 and 100 for so long we forgot what it was like to be a little on the cool side. We should be at 79 degrees for this time of the year, and we were at 65. So that's cool. And our average low is 55, and we were in the 40s this morning. And now, as you know, the days are getting shorter. 7:28 was the sunset this evening. So there's the 65. We stayed in the 50s around Evanston. So awfully cool in many locations across the north. Really had to travel all the way down through St. George and over to Page before we saw some 80s. So this cold front cleared the entire state, feeling much more like mid-October than September 20th. Now the autumnal equinox starts 1/21 September 22nd. So on Wednesday we officially welcome in fall, but our fall-like temperatures today will go back to warmer temperatures by the time we head in to Wednesday. Now we're looking outside. It's a beautiful, beautiful evening. There is the harvest moon. It is coming up right now, and it's going to be gorgeous. It's going to be cool. We've lost all the wind that we had earlier. It was quite breezy compared to this time last night. Temperatures are a little cooler now. We had a cooler day. We're definitely going to have a cooler night statewide. In fact, around Moab right now, it's 22 degrees cooler at this hour. 57 degrees with just a light northerly breeze, so we've lost all the wind we had today. Because of that, we're going to get cooling tonight. A lot of times the wind helps mix the atmosphere and keep us slightly warmer, but not tonight. We're definitely going to be on the cool side. Right now we're at 75 degrees in St. George, but the rest of us are in the 50s already, dropping into the 40s in Evanston and Bryce Canyon. Hard freeze warning now in effect, and this was issued earlier today. And this goes through tomorrow morning, where we're going to see the areas in purple, the Cache Valley, the Wasatch Back, even down through the valleys in southern Utah. Temperatures will be dipping to around freezing or below, so that means you're going to want to cover up any of your tender plants. Not as cold as they're seeing through Wyoming. We're looking at a little bit of blue mixing on in here. So this actually is a little bit of snow in some of their higher elevations. But as we scoot out to the west, yeah, there's some storminess off the Alaska coastline. However, there's this big area of high pressure, and that will actually warm us over the next several days. Right now, there it is, that area of cool where the snow and the rain are kind of mixed in the higher elevations. 37 degrees right now in Casper. And the pattern this week will definitely show some of that warmer air moving in. We're going to look at 40s tonight in Salt Lake, 33 degrees in Park City, 46 tonight in Cedar. And then tomorrow we're going to go back into 70s, still below normal, but again, that's an improvement over today. And then for southern Utah, looking at 90, going to the mid-90s. Maybe a few clouds on Thursday. I think we're going to have to keep our eyes on Sunday a little bit. There could be an area of low pressure that tries to move on in. And then a little system will scoot through the north on Thursday, where temperatures dip into the upper 70s. And then we're going to go back into the 80s. And again, on Sunday, with that little low across the south, may usher some cloudiness northward as well.
Salt Lake City has repainted a crosswalk where 2 children were hit by a car today, but neighbors say it is not enough to keep the streets safe.
The two victims are school-aged children.
Tonight, neighbors are demanding safer crosswalks after two children were hit by an SUV early this morning in Salt Lake City. It happened at 8 a.m. at 1040 West and 400 South in the Poplar Grove neighborhood.
Fox 13's Haley Higgins shows us their concerns and has the city's response.
Hours after two children were critically hurt in this intersection, Salt Lake City street crews paint sidewalk markings on 400 South.
Oh God, hope they're okay.
The city resurfaced the road several weeks ago, but failed to repaint the crosswalk. It's a couple blocks from Franklin Elementary School and a bus stop. Larry Martinez says the victims are his neighbor's children, hit while trying to catch the bus.
That's terrible. You see your kids or your neighbor's kids get hurt, and any kid, really.
Larry says his own family's had close calls here. The two young children were sent to the hospital with critical injuries.
It's very early stages of the investigation.
Salt Lake police say the driver was in a Jeep Grand Cherokee. They are treating it as a possible impaired driver investigation.
The driver is cooperating with the police department in the investigation.
Larry says there's a bigger issue here. The crosswalk sign and two orange flags are just not enough to alert drivers to pedestrians who often speed in the 30-mile-per-hour zone.
We could avoid these accidents if we had a light here that helped stop the traffic.
A spokesperson for the city says they are waiting for the full investigation before drawing conclusions and, quote, anticipate in the days and weeks ahead we will work to determine safety measures we can put in place to help prevent a tragedy like this from occurring in the future. As for the driver, police are not saying who they are, but add that they have not been arrested or cited for hitting the children. Reporting in Salt Lake City, Haley Higgins, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Do you think his tweet sends a good example to students?
No. I think it's a very poor example.
A Utah high school teacher called for death to Republican senators.
Anybody else would be in serious trouble.
We'll show you the demand from people across the country to fire him and why some think the school district tried to keep quiet the decision not to.
A Tooele woman is looking for answers after her aunt vanished without a trace. Coming up, how she's working to raise awareness.
A family from Sweden turning to the healthcare system here in Utah. Why they hope this hospital can deliver life-changing results.
Who's going to be the Ute starting quarterback? We'll hear from Kyle Whittingham and the Cougars and Aggies coming up.
After a 5-month investigation, the Iron County School District has decided not to discipline a teacher who publicly called for the deaths of Republican senators.
Bob, that teacher published the comments on social media earlier this year. Fox 13 News investigative reporter Adam Herbets has been following the story. He joins us now tonight with the district's explanation. Adam, what are they saying?
Yeah, Bob Kelly, this is a story that got national and international attention earlier this year. Both Republicans and Democrats upset that a role model for children would publicly tweet a death wish to politicians. Now, some parents accuse the district of trying to keep the story hidden from the public. This was the tweet sent by Brian Townsend on February 13th, 2021. I only hope that the next time a president incites a riot at the Capitol, more Republican senators are killed. At the time, Townsend was a history teacher at Parowan High School.
Republican senators should die. Like, whoa, you work at a high school.
Were you aware that students might see this?
Sure, there's always a possibility that people can see the things that you tweet.
By the end of the month, people across the country were calling the Iron County School District demanding that Townsend be fired.
I know you're aware of this, but I'm just going to share the screen. So that
This Zoom meeting with Human Resources was on March 1st.
We just want to check in with you and your family. Are you okay? Are there things that we can do to support you?
It really doesn't impact me. I can handle a lot of heat. I don't really have that much at stake in terms of myself and my self-image.
He just didn't care. Honestly, I felt like he didn't really even want to work there.
Townsend was under investigation for about 5 months on paid administrative leave. Ultimately, the district closed the case with no corrective action taken.
For him to get no discipline and just go under investigation, why? How does he get off with that when anybody else would be in serious trouble?
Mr. Townsend is a valued educator in our district. He is certified and capable and qualified to do the job. We believe in him. We hope that our schools are a place where anyone can go and feel comfortable.
You agree that it's a threat and you agree that's against policy. Why wasn't anything done about it?
I think that's a fair question, and if you can say, I don't know that I can say that nothing completely was done.
Superintendent Lance Hatch said even though Townsend was not disciplined, he was moved to a different school in Cedar City, Youth Health Associates, a treatment center designed to care for kids who have a history of sexual misconduct or mental illness. The facility only has about 16 students in total.
He is in good standing, and we're looking forward to him doing a great job.
Do you think his tweet sends a good example to students?
No. I think it's a very poor example. And yeah.
What if a student tweeted, I hope next time the school board meets that they get killed?
We do look at, does the student have the means? Do they have, the motive to follow through with that? And then we make sure that they get the help that they need, because clearly there are issues.
Townsend chose not to speak with Fox 13, but offered this apology in his meeting with the district's HR department.
That was awful judgment on my part. I'm sorry that this has happened.
Hopefully you understand and realize that anything personnel, action-wise or anything, that's all confidential. Obviously that won't be shared with the news.
Oh, yes. Yes. No. We're being very, very careful not to share anything at all.
At the end of the day, we were facing, somebody's First Amendment rights and our need to balance that with the needs of the school and the district.
Are you proud to still have him as an employee?
I don't really know him personally, but we are grateful that he has the qualifications, the ability to help the students that he's working with.
The superintendent said when all of this started, the district did not have a social media policy, but it does have a policy that's supposed to stop employees from doing anything that would harm the district, its reputation, or the classroom. He says the district is now working to establish a new social media policy to hopefully prevent cases like this from happening again. Reporting in studio, Adam Herbets, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Adam, thank you. If you have questions about tonight's investigation, Adam will be live on Facebook coming up in just a few minutes. He will try and answer as many questions as possible.
Now, if you have a story you'd like the Fox 13 News investigative team to look into, email iteam@fox13now.com or call the tip line at 801-536-1314. Coming up, a Navajo woman has been missing since June, and her family is pushing authorities to do more to find her. How her niece is raising awareness.
New at 9, a Tooele woman now raising awareness for missing Indigenous women with a plan to walk dozens and dozens of miles through Arizona to the Four Corners.
Fox 13's Lauren Steinbrecher explains how it stems from searching for her own missing family member.
Seraphine Warren has been leaving her home here in Tooele to head down to Arizona every weekend and search for her Aunt Ella Mae Begay. But 3 months later, the family still doesn't have any answers.
Within these woven rugs is a scene,
the Monument Valley Monument,
with a story created by Seraphine's aunt, Ella Mae Begay.
She was very talented as far as actually putting action into her rugs.
Textiles Seraphine now holds on to. It's all she's got.
It's just getting harder to have any more hope that she's still alive.
Ella Mae disappeared from her home June 15th in the middle of the night in Sweetwater, Arizona, Seraphine says. Navajo Nation police and the FBI have been investigating and searching. The only real info they've released.
Today our focus was in Thoreau, New Mexico, where we did make contact with our person of interest.
Seraphine says the family launched their own search, following leads, including in Montezuma Creek in southeast Utah. But still, nothing.
I just want to find her. We just need closure of some sort. And I'm trying to do whatever I can to get help.
Seraphine now plans to walk more than 150 miles in honor of her aunt's birthday next week to send a message.
We can't just leave him out there. We have to find him.
She wants people to know Ella Mae and so many other Indigenous women are missing, that they matter, that they deserve to be found.
I can't show her respect while she's laying out there when I know what talent she has and what she meant to us. I cannot not bring her home.
In Tooele, Lauren Steinbrecher, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Right now, Utah has dozens of open missing persons cases. The Department of Public Safety has a list with photos and information for the cases they've been authorized to share by family or law enforcement. However, this is not all of the people missing in Utah. For more information on any of these particular cases or to contribute photos and information for your missing loved one, we have a link at fox13now.com.
Still ahead, they've been on a journey around the world to help their daughter who's suffering from a rare form of epilepsy. Tonight, what they need to do to give her a better chance at life.
Coming up in sports, Utah's Britton Covey has some encouraging words on how the Utes are going to turn things around. Meanwhile, the Cougars and Aggies rolling after 3 straight wins to start the season. We'll hear from Kalani Sitake and Blake Anderson.
So glad you could be with us for Fox 13 News at 9. Jody Saleland is filling in tonight, and she's telling us, and I trust her, that it's going to be about 10 degrees warmer tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Still nice temperatures.
Yeah.
We have a harvest moon happening outside tonight.
Oh, yeah. Peak's going to be at 6 o'clock tomorrow morning. Jody's going to tell us all about it coming up in the next forecast in a few minutes.
In the meantime, a family now turning to Primary Children's Hospital to bring hope back to their young daughter who suffers from a very rare form of epilepsy.
Fox 13's John Franke takes us on their long journey to save their child's life.
This hospital is the last resort for a family from Sweden. Turned away by the healthcare system in their home country, they're banking that treatment here can be life-changing.
She was into sports. She liked to play soccer.
10-year-old Edith Molstad loved doing all the things that make childhood so fun. But one night 4 years ago, everything changed.
And I saw my daughter all covered with sweat, shaking.
Edith was having an epileptic seizure. She was later diagnosed with Fires, a rare form of epilepsy that impacts 1 in 1 million children. She spent weeks in an ICU.
You see your daughter is suffering really bad, and you literally see her slipping away for each day. It's an enormous feeling of powerlessness.
But instead of giving up, Edith's mom did research, and from a world away, she connected with Dr. Robert Bolo from Primary Children's.
That letter was written, he was using both his heart and his brain.
Dr. Bolo suggested this implant device that, when connected to the brain, is designed to stop a seizure before it starts.
We should do everything we can to eliminate seizures or reduce them as much as we possibly can in every child.
The technology is only available in the United States.
The Swedish healthcare system has had a different approach. It's more wait and see.
So in June, after delays caused by the pandemic, Edith and her family traveled thousands of miles to Salt Lake City to get this life-saving treatment.
She's been through 3 brain surgeries.
Now Edith and her family wait for results.
We see some kids have a response right away, and we see others take a longer time.
It's like a marathon, so we have to be patient.
They'll travel to Utah every 3 months to recalibrate the computer now embedded in Edith's skull. Trips to this corner of the globe to connect with doctors willing to fight this cruel neurological disorder.
Now we feel we have hope again.
The Molstads have to pay for all of this treatment out of pocket. The socialized healthcare system in Sweden declined to foot the bill. So far, they've paid around $100,000. In Salt Lake City, John Franke, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Harvest moon tonight.
I saw one this morning. The pre-harvest moon.
And how did it look so far?
Oh, it was so bright. It was incredible.
And tomorrow
really
it'll be even
was.
brighter to the naked eye, Bob.
Holy moly, man.
Yes,
It
right?
was
You think you'll notice the difference?
Well, I hope I'm not awake. I saw the one today only because I was taking Joseph to weights this morning.
Well, maybe
Yeah.
we'll get another chance tomorrow. What time is the best time to see it? I know we have clear skies out there. So yeah, I think, well, what did Bob say? 6 o'clock or so?
Anyway, yeah, it was 6 a.m.
Right,
and,
yeah.
well, 10 to 6 as we walked
Yeah,
out
because
the door.
the sun is coming up later and later. So it's going to be clear and cold. And look at this sighting. So I was just outside for just a minute, right outside the studios here, and we had, I'm waiting. Who, Joey?
Who are they, Joe?
Who's that?
Who are they?
Oh, that's funny. Okay, so the great horned owls were out doing their thing. Maybe it has to do with the moon.
Lost.
It's past my bedtime. Okay, we've had a lot of. This was the best in me. This was a cool day. All right, over here. All right. Normal high should be 79 degrees. We were at 65 today. This morning, or tomorrow morning, we're going to be at 42, and we have not been this cool since May the 11th. Record low, though, is 32 degrees. So we're not going to be near that, but there will be some areas that are going to see temperatures in the 30s. So you're going to want to definitely cover up some of your tender plants. Now, this is the coolest day throughout the last 7 days, and actually throughout the last couple of months. We were in the 80s, in fact, upper 80s on Friday, and then we kind of saw things really cooling down. So it's a beautiful night out there. It's cool. Temperatures have cooled down significantly in the past 24 hours, especially in the southern part of the state. We saw the cooling earlier in the day yesterday as that front passed on through. 57 with a north breeze right now. We have an east breeze in Ogden at 55 degrees. We're at 42 in Evanston, 54 at Price, 40s already at Bryce Canyon. Now, if you've got some tender plants, I would cover them up. The areas in purple, and that's the Cache Valley on through Park City, in through Heber, Brigham City, hard freeze warning until 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. So that means your tomatoes. In fact, tomatoes, I was reading up on that, and after it drops below 50 degrees or so, tomatoes may stop producing as much fruit. I'm not a gardener, so if I said that wrong, sorry, but that's what I was reading about. So you're going to want to maybe just throw like a big old I don't know, what, tarp. Well, you can use a tarp. I was thinking sheets. You know, you've got all those old sheets. That always works as well. Now, that cold front passed through the state. It's now pushing on through the Midwest. We've got a line of very strong thunderstorms actually approaching the Chicago area, and cool stuff enough to a little bit of rain and snow coming in over the higher elevations in Wyoming. But out to the west, there is nothing. There's this high pressure, and what that is going to mean as we head through this week, it's going to slide on through, and that's going to start to warm us up. So you see these cool readings behind the front up and through Wyoming. That is where the coolest stuff is. Warmer stuff moves in as we head into Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. However, this little low may sneak up on Sunday, and that may actually bring some clouds and slightly cooler readings in Sunday for us statewide. 42 degrees tonight in Salt Lake, 45 in Ogden, or in Provo, 70 tomorrow in Provo. So we're going to start to warm it up. We're going to jump some 5 to 10 degrees compared to what we were today. Southern Utah, we're going to go back to the 90s. We're going to stay in the 90s for several days. And I talked about that little low on Sunday that may just throw fly in the ointment. But meanwhile, mid-70s tomorrow, back to 80 Wednesday. A little blurb comes through on Thursday. We may see a few clouds on Thursday, and then we'll have to keep an eye on Sunday. But overall, these temperatures back into the 80s are going to be very pleasant after a cool day today.
Utah and BYU both losing key defensive players for the rest of the season. Utah's Viane Moala and BYU's Keenan Pili both suffered season-ending injuries on Saturday. Moala and the leader of the Utah defensive tackles, and Pili led BYU in tackles with 31 in 3 games. BYU will host South Florida this week. The 17th-ranked Cougars have looked strong this season with 3 straight wins over teams in the Pac-12 South Division and 2 straight over ranked opponents. But head coach Kalani Sitake says there's plenty of room for improvement.
Been happy with the leadership and the focus on our team. We just keep it rolling, but I do need to see improvement in a lot of different areas, and that's not just on the players. That's on myself and the assistant coaches. We need to play better. We need to see a lot of improvement. I was really pleased with some of the improvement we saw from week 2 to week 3, but we've got to make a bigger jump from week 3 to week 4.
Utah finished their non-conference schedule with back-to-back losses, but they showed some fight against San Diego State. They fought back to tie the game for his overtime behind backup quarterback Cam Rising with three touchdown passes. Wide receiver Britton Covey credits Cam's energy to opening the team's eyes on their potential.
Coach Whittingham, he's been around so many teams that have been great. And he's been preaching to us our potential from day one. It's not until you see it that you can truly believe it. I think we all saw it in the fourth quarter. The biggest testament to what Cam did was that when he was the backup, he was just as hyped and excited as he was when he was the starter. And you can't say that about everybody. A lot of times when people aren't playing, they're kind of sitting on the sideline, and then when they do get called in and you bring that energy, it just feels like a different person. Whereas Cam is that person all the time. I think that's what people could rally behind, was the fact that we're going to get that from Cam 24/7.
Utah State 3-0 for the first time since 1978. The Aggies have rallied from double-digit deficits to win their first 3 games for the first time in team history after scoring the final 2 touchdowns in their fourth quarter win to pull out a 49-45 win over Air Force.
Just really, really proud of the way we played the fourth quarter. We won both sides of the ball there. Guys kept playing. The effort level was phenomenal all the way through, and we made huge plays when we had to. They've learned to keep fighting and play hard and give us a chance. And that's what it's taken all 3 weeks. It's probably going to keep doing that on a weekly basis. Stressful, but very proud of how this group is fighting.
Now, Utah didn't say who their starting quarterback would be this Saturday, but all indications are it'll be Cam Rising this Saturday when they open a Pac-12 play against Washington State. There's still no losses in Pac-12 play, so no need to panic.
That's a good way to look at it, right?
Yeah, that's a great way to look at it.
Be positive.
Sure.
Thanks, Jeff.
We'll be right back. Who took that picture of the owl?
Oh, it doesn't take much.
Quick cast up next.